All right, everyone, get ready to jump into a time machine because today we're heading straight back to the 16th century.
We are.
We're going to meet a woman who played the game of European power politics, and she played it well.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret of Austria.
Yeah, and Marguerite is just so interesting. You know, she's not just some princess locked in a tower.
Right.
She's the illegitimate daughter of Emperor Charles V,
Okay.
born in 1522. And this Volness, as one of our sources puts it, you know, this really shaped her early life.
So not exactly, born with a silver spoon, so to speak.
Yeah.
But despite this, she doesn't just fade away.
Right.
She ends up shaping the political landscape of Europe.
Exactly. And, you know, she's married twice, right?
Yeah.
At both times, purely political reasons.
Of course.
But, and this is the really interesting part, she's no pawn.
Right.
She uses these alliances to gain power, to gain influence. She forges her own way amidst all these kings and popes.
So, I mean, that's what's so fascinating to me. Like, we've got this stack of sources. We've got this really great Italian documentary, some scholarly articles.
Mm-hmm.
And they paint a vivid picture of her life. And I guess the question is, like, does she transcend this role as a pawn, or is she forever trapped?
That's what we're going to be looking at today.
I love it.
So to get started, to really understand her journey, we need to understand the world she was born into, a world where lineage and legitimacy were everything.
Right, because, her father is the emperor, but because she's born out of wedlock,
Yeah.
she's constantly having to prove her worth, right?
Yeah, she's got to constantly prove herself.
She's got to reinforce that connection to power.
Absolutely. And this need for validation, this is so clear when we look at her arrival in Italy at only 11 years old.
11 years old. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
You're barely out of elementary school.
Yeah.
And you're being shipped off to become this, political bargaining chip.
It's 1533, and Margherita has this grand entrance into Verona. It's this huge ceremony to showcase her father's lineage.
Wow.
The streets are, lined with crowds. They're cheering. Dignitaries are showering her with gifts. And it's all to emphasize that connection to the most powerful man in Europe.
It's like they're trying to make up for her vulness, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're sending a message. She may be illegitimate, but she's a force to be reckoned with.
Wow. So even at 11, she's a symbol.
Yeah.
She's a pawn in this game.
Absolutely.
Of international politics.
Yeah. And this theme, this lineage, this political maneuvering, it's going to keep dominating the next chapter of her life when she becomes a teenage bride.
Hold on. Teenage bride. So we're talking arranged marriage here.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, absolutely. At just 13 years old, Margherita is married to Alessandro de' Medici, the Duke of Florence.
13. I was still playing with dolls.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But back then, marriage, it was a political tool, right?
Yes.
It forged alliances, it solidified power.
Yeah.
And this marriage was no different. It stemmed from this Treaty of Barcelona, signed in 1529, which was meant to kind of smooth things over between Charles V and the Pope after a bunch of conflicts.
Including the sack of Rome, right?
The sack of Rome, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're basically using a 13-year-old to ease tensions between empires.
Talk about pressure.
It was a lot. And, when you see the painting of their wedding by Vasari,
Yeah.
you can almost see the weight of the world in Margherita's eyes.
Yeah, she's a bride, but she's also this political pawn, right?
Yeah.
Carrying the hopes of two powerful families.
Exactly. But despite all the politics, some sources suggest that she actually cared for Alessandro.
Okay.
It wasn't all cold calculation for her.
So maybe there was some hope for happiness.
Maybe. But sadly, that hope was shattered just 3 years in when Alessandro was assassinated.
Oh, wow.
She was only 15,
15 and a widow.
widowed, and thrust back into being this valuable political asset.
It's a lot.
It is. But you see Margherita's resilience start to shine through here. There's this letter she writes to her father after Alessandro's death, and she signs it, "The Sad Margareta of Austria."
Oh.
It shows her vulnerability, her grief, but there's also this hint of determination.
Right. So losing Alessandro, it's like a turning point. It's sad, but it's also a catalyst for growth.
You could say that, because alongside her grief, she inherits something else from Alessandro, his lands, including the Duchy of Penne and Abruzzo. This becomes the foundation for her future power.
Okay.
It's like in that moment of loss, she starts to forge her own path.
So even amidst the tragedy, she's gaining ground.
Yes.
She's gaining agency.
Exactly. And that newfound agency is about to be tested.
Uh-oh.
Because Margherita faces another unwanted marriage proposal.
Here we go again. Another arranged marriage.
This time, it's Pope Paul III. He's from the powerful Farnese family.
Of course.
And he sees an opportunity. He wants to marry Margarita to his grandson, Ottavio.
So the game continues.
It does.
But this time, she's older, wiser.
She is.
She's not going to just go along with it, is she?
You are absolutely right. She learned from her experience with Alessandro.
Yeah.
She understands the power dynamics, and she is determined to resist being a pawn again.
So how does she do it? How does she push back against the Pope? Okay, so we've got Margarita. She's a widow. She's inherited some land, and she's kind of, flexing her political muscle a bit.
Yeah.
And now the Pope wants to marry her off to his grandson. So what happens?
Well, Margarita, she doesn't just sit back and wait for things to happen to her.
Right.
She makes a move. She gets herself away from Ottavio and the Farnese family, out of Rome.
So she's not just running away.
Oh, no, not at all. It's calculated. She goes and sets up her own court in what will later become the Palazzo Madama, and she turns this place into like a center of activity. Artists, writers, even religious reformers, they're all kind of buzzing around.
Wow. So she's building her own power base.
Exactly.
Like right under the Pope's nose.
Right under his nose. And it's here, within these walls, that Margarita really hones her skills. She's corresponding with diplomats, she's negotiating treaties, she's solidifying her position.
It's like she's playing a whole different game.
She is.
Like everyone else is playing checkers and she's playing 4D chess or something.
And there's this amazing letter she writes to her father, Charles V, where she lays out all her reasons for not, consummating the marriage with Ottavio.
Right.
And her arguments are incredible. They're not about love or personal preference or anything like that.
Right.
It's all political calculation. It's like, this marriage, it's not good for me. It's not good for your empire.
So she's playing the long game.
She is. She's thinking about her future, the dynasty. It's brilliant.
Wow. So does this mean she never marries Ottavio?
Well, eventually she does accept the Duchy of Parma.
Okay.
It's not about love, not at all.
Right.
But she sees the opportunity it offers.
So she's making a strategic move.
Absolutely. And she arrives in Parma in 1550, with Ottavio, of course. But it's Margarita who the people really connect with.
They see her as a strong leader.
They do. They see her as fair, compassionate, capable.
So she's come a long way, huh?
She has. From illegitimate daughter to teenage bride to now a powerful duchess.
That's quite the journey.
It is. But it's not over yet. In 1559, her brother, King Philip II of Spain, he throws her a curveball.
What does he do?
He asks her to become the governor of the Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Wow.
Yeah, it's a huge step up.
It's like going from, mayor of a small town to president.
Exactly. And, the Netherlands at this point, it's a mess.
What do you mean?
There's religious conflict, there's political upheaval, everyone's kind of resentful of Spanish rule.
So it's a volatile situation.
Very volatile.
This is where her diplomatic skills are really going to be put to the test.
Exactly. And Margarita, she approaches this new challenge the way she always has.
With diplomacy?
With diplomacy, with compassion. She believes in finding common ground, in governing with a light touch.
It's a very modern approach.
It is, but it clashes with her brother's style.
Oh.
Philip, he's much more authoritarian.
Okay.
He believes in a firm hand. He's not afraid to use force.
So there's tension between them.
Oh, absolutely. Philip undermines her. He sends troops in, basically sabotages her efforts at peacemaking.
Wow. That's harsh.
It was. And, for Margarita, it's heartbreaking. She poured everything into this role, trying to bring peace to the Netherlands.
Right.
And her own brother is working against her.
So what does she do? Does she just stay and fight?
She tries, but eventually she realizes it's a losing battle.
Yeah.
So in 1568, she leaves the Netherlands.
Feeling defeated?
Disillusioned, betrayed, definitely.
So where does she go? Back to Parma?
No, she chooses a different path. She retreats to her estates in Abruzzo.
Abruzzo.
It's in central Italy. Remember, she inherited it from her first husband, Alessandro.
Oh, right. So why Abruzzo?
I think it's a place of peace for her.
Okay.
Away from the big political stage of Europe, she can focus on something smaller, something she can manage.
Like a fresh start.
Exactly. And she really throws herself into it. She sets up a whole new legal and administrative framework for Abruzzo.
Wow.
Streamlines everything, makes the government more efficient.
So these are the, what are they called?
The Orders of Madame d'Austria.
Right.
And they're a real testament to her vision, her commitment to good governance.
It's like she's taking all the lessons she learned on the big stage and applying them here.
Exactly. And it's in Abruzzo that we also see another side of Margarita.
Oh.
the mother.
Right, her son, Alessandro Farnese. We haven't talked much about him.
Well, Alessandro grows up to be this brilliant military leader, known for his strategy, his bravery. He fights alongside his uncle, Don Juan of Austria, at the Battle of Lepanto in 1571.
Hold on, the Battle of Lepanto, that was a huge turning point in the fight against the Ottomans, right?
Absolutely. And Alessandro, he plays a key role in the victory. He really distinguishes himself.
So Margarita, the diplomat, the peacemaker,
Wow.
she raises a son who becomes a war hero.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
She may have favored diplomacy herself, but she clearly instilled in Alessandro a sense of duty, a willingness to fight for what he believed in.
And Alessandro's story, it doesn't end happily, does it?
No, it doesn't. He dies in 1592 at only 47.
That's young.
It is. For centuries, people thought he was poisoned, a victim of court intrigue.
Oh, wow.
But modern forensics, they've shown he actually died of natural causes.
Oh, so no palace drama there.
No, just a brilliant mind, gone too soon. But his legacy, it lives on. And it's impossible to separate that legacy from his mother, from Margareta of Austria.
Right, she shaped him. She guided him.
She did. So we've seen Margareta navigate the treacherous world of politics. We've seen her rule with wisdom and compassion. And we've seen her raise a son who became a hero.
It's been an incredible journey so far.
It has. But there's still more to uncover. We've explored the events of her life, but what about the woman behind those events? What can we learn from her struggles, her triumphs, her legacy?
I like it.
That's what we'll delve into in the final part of our deep dive.
We've really gone deep on this one, haven't we?
We have.
I mean, we've seen Margarita go from this, unconventional beginning, the emperor's illegitimate daughter,
Right.
through these strategic marriages, becoming a duchess, a governor.
It's quite a story.
It really is. And what gets me, is how she constantly defied expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people underestimated her,
Oh, yeah.
dismissed her.
But it's down on her.
But it never stopped her.
Never.
She was so intelligent, charming, and determined.
She really was.
She carved out a space for herself in this, man's world.
It was a man's world back then.
Completely.
And she was a master of, what we call soft power.
Soft power.
She knew that real power, it wasn't always about armies or money.
Yeah.
It was about relationships, alliances, persuasion.
Like she was playing a different game.
Totally.
The men around her were focused on, conquering, fighting.
Brute force.
And she's over here playing the long game, building trust, fostering cooperation.
And it worked.
It did.
People were drawn to her.
They saw her as, fair,
A good leader.
compassionate.
Someone who cared.
And, her legacy as a governor,
Yeah.
it shows that stability in Parma, navigating the Netherlands, even those reforms in Abruzzo.
She really made an impact.
She did. And it's not just what she accomplished, but how she did it.
Mm-hmm.
This focus on diplomacy,
Right.
finding common ground.
Even when things are really divided.
Makes you wonder, what if more leaders were like that?
What if?
So, when you think about Margarita, what's her most lasting legacy?
I think it's that she proved women could not just survive, but they could lead.
Right.
In positions of power.
Powerfully.
She challenged the whole system.
Yeah.
Showed that women could be leaders, strategists, wise.
She was a trailblazer.
She was. Opened the door for so many other women.
And her story, it's a reminder
Of what?
that we shouldn't underestimate determination.
Resilience?
This willingness to go against expectations.
Absolutely.
So as we kind of wrap this up,
Yeah.
this deep dive into Margarita's life, I want to leave folks with one thought.
Okay.
What if she had been born a man?
Interesting question.
Would things have been different?
Would she have achieved even more?
Yeah.
Or would those same limitations have still been there no matter what?
Tough to say.
It is.
But what we do know is that Margarita of Austria, she left her mark.
She did.
Defied expectations, broke down barriers.
And left a legacy that still inspires us.
Absolutely. She was a woman who, she really did it all, didn't she?
She really did.
So next time you're feeling underestimated, remember Margarita.
Yeah.
Remember her courage, her tenacity.
And strength.
She shows us what's possible.
When we dream big and fight for it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.